You're still watching Ways. So, the transatlantic slave trade is often studied and discussed at the macro level. It was a phenomenon characterized by unprecedented mass human trafficking, degrading economic transactions, and unspeakable human rights violations. But examining the transatlantic slave trade at the micro level reveals its true brutality. Behind the facts and figures are millions of human stories, the stories of those who were ripped from their homelands and families, the stories of those who fought against their oppressors, the stories of those who triumphed against all odds to win their freedom. Those stories continue today as people across the globe keep struggling together against the transatlantic slave trade's most enduring legacy, which is racism. Every year on the 25th of March, the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade offers the opportunity to honor and remember those who suffered and died at the hands of the brutal slavery system. The International Day also aims to raise awareness about the dangers of racism and prejudice today. You know, this one, when I saw it, I thought to myself, I remember the first time, growing up, we used to always say Kunta Kinte, Kunta Kinte. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I watched Roots, and I thought to myself, if I see a white person right now, I'm liable to do something. But I mean, to be alive in that time and to really understand, do you get what I mean? I remember going to the museum in Badagry and, just seeing all the paraphernalia there. You can't wrap your mind around what that kind of experience was, and I mean, to see it in the movies and to get some idea of what people lived through in that time. And it's so powerful that it's such a travesty that keeps on living, because now we're dealing with it in the facets of racism. And you want to believe that racism doesn't exist. Like, I tell people, like you were saying the other day, you don't see things because you don't expect it.
Yeah, I don't expect it. I'm not looking out for it.
And I'm the same. And given that, different parts of the world, abroad, different countries deal with racism in different ways. Some places it's more pronounced, like the United States. In some countries it's not as pronounced, it's more systemic. So, but to confront and see that, even so long after this, racism is still alive and well, is just such a sad, sad reality. So, to all the people who lost their lives so long ago, may their souls rest in peace. To those dealing with racism today, its strength, it's shining the light on the darkness and continue to educate people, hopefully, that this is something that at some point, I hope one day, the hold will break and people will truly see human beings for what they're for. But let's move on to what you found in the news. So what do you have for us?
Okay, so I saw a story that caught my attention in the Punch newspaper. It says 3 siblings disappear from Abuja School, teachers, proprietor detained. So it said there is panic amongst residents of Kabusa community in the Federal Capital Territory over the disappearance of 3 siblings. The children, Marvelous, Alex, Rehoboth, Sunday, were said to have gone missing from their school, Star Child Academy, on Tuesday. According to residents, their mother had gone to pick them up from their school located around the Ekwa 1 area of Kubasa, but they were nowhere to be found. So efforts made by their mother, staff of the school, and residents to locate them were said to have been abortive. The incident sparked a protest from women in the community, and on Wednesday, women in the community, both young and old, protested at the school and at the police station. So speaking to our correspondents, a family friend said residents checked every nook and cranny of Kabusa from the day of the incident till Wednesday, adding that the children were not found. So the family, this is the sad part of it, the family recently lost one of their children, and now all of the surviving children are nowhere to be found. The missing children are 2 females and 1 male. The first is 8, the second 6, and the last is 2 years old. So the FCT police spokesperson, DSP Josephine, confirmed the incidents, and she said all the teachers in the school, alongside the proprietor, had been arrested over the matter.
He should be detained. I mean, that's
I think this is really, really sad. With everything that is going on in the country now, there's a lot of ritual kidnapping now.
Absolutely.
So, and this family lost a child recently, and now they're losing 3 other children.
I can't even imagine what the mother must be
I don't want to even imagine what their parents are going through right now. But I think we need to look into this whole thing going on in schools, because children have started, you know, getting missing or, you know, disappearing from schools.
It's really about, educating your children. I know at one point it was strangers, but now even realizing that the danger can be people that are familiar to you. So it's just really educating your children about, you know, what it takes to stay safe. But for 3 children to go missing all at once, then the teachers in the school have a lot to answer for.
They have a lot, the proprietor, everybody.
Really do. We pray that they're found safely and returned to their families. So my headline reads, Reps reject dirty fuel probe report. Panel exonerates NNPC and others. Now, you remember back, was it last month, where we had the fuel shortages because we had the contaminated fuel that came into the country. And I'm never one to say I want to cry foul or anything, but key things stood out in this story. So this story is talking about the House of Reps have dismissed the report that its committee on the petroleum resources downstream investigated the importation of the adulterated PMS, which is petrol, which led to disruption in the supply chain. Now, the committee have come out with their findings, and what it shocked me the most in their findings was they were unable to hold anyone responsible for the issue. Their recommendations ranged from the fact that they would like the Minister of Petroleum Resources to expedite action for the completion of rehabilitation of 3 refineries. What has that got to do with adulterated imported fuel? They had said that tracking devices should be placed in the trucks so that the trucks can be tracked to avoid smuggling. Again, what has that got to do with the importation? It then talks about the SON. The government shall position the SON to implement its mandate of reviewing all imported petroleum products, and the SOM is to resume routine quality checks. So that means that the checks were not done and nobody is being held responsible at the SON. Nobody essentially from the work they have done so far has been held responsible. They went so far as to quote parts of the Constitution that state that the country is to have, the NNPC is to ensure that we have at least 90 days worth of reserve and build depots to ensure that we can. So the report was just wishy-washy in terms of, look, there was a problem, there was a failure. What is the process for inspecting the products that come into the country? Who is responsible? If it wasn't done, when you say resume, when did it stop? To what and whose permission did it stop? So for me, there were just so many flaws in this. And of course, I'm very glad that the House has sent them back and said, you've done a good job. Well, thank you for all these things that you've said, but this is not what we asked you to do. This is not the job that we sent you to do. So please go back and come back to us and tell us who is responsible and what happened. So we look forward to seeing a more robust report and seeing what the outcomes were. It would be great to see some sort of compensation being offered, because so many people's cars were damaged. Really, it just doesn't even bear thinking about. So it would be great for us to eventually hear that they're able to offer some respite or restitution to the people whose cars and vehicles were damaged. So we look forward to seeing what comes of that. But we move on now. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back to carry on the show. Stay with us.